Welcome, everyone, to the Texas Motor Speedway for race number 7 out of 10 for the regular season of the Thursday Night Nitro Series. Cars are out on the racetrack. We've got 20 cars making up the field for tonight's race here in Fort Worth at the 1.5-mile Texas Motor Speedway. We had a squeaky clean race at Echo Park last week, rather unexpectedly. Bennett Allen once again coming out on top of the heap for that race. But this week, let's see if something else can come. Maybe a semi-unexpected result. We got a few other drivers who are showing confidence in their odds for this week, Kyle Nadeau being one of them. What can the several-time Thursday Night Nitro Series winner pull out of his hat, his cowboy hat, this weekend here at Texas Motor Speedway? Can the Canadian get it done in the Lone Star State? We'll find out that and more tonight here on our broadcast. As always, I'm Adam LeVox here for the Boom Tube. Glad to have you along with us, everyone who is tuning in. Good to see Terry and Patsy out there in chat cheering on Dusty tonight. We'll see what he's got in that number 35 Chevrolet here for Texas. It's not everyone's favorite racetrack. Texas has become a bit of a challenge for a lot of drivers as of late. Lost a lot of the character of the rough asphalt after the repave a few years ago, so it has become a bit of a polarizing racetrack for some of these drivers. We'll see who can adapt and overcome and who can manage to save onto their tires or hang on to their tires here for this long race here tonight. They will be at a premium. We'll see if the cautions stay at bay or if we'll see an action-packed shootout. Cars on track for qualifying at the moment. Currently on top of the heap is Dan Jensen and that number 29 Ford F-150. But before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our standings as they sit right now for the Thursday Night Nitro Series drivers. On top of the heap, still Bennett Allen by just 1 point over Kyle Nadeau. Dusty Martin sitting in P3 right now, 55 points back from the leader. It's a two-car breakaway in the point standings as it stands for the regular season right now. Looking like it's going to be a heated battle between Allen and Nadeau for that regular season champion title. But we still got 5 races after that on the line to decide who is the actual season champion after our 5 rounds of the chase here for the Thursday Night Nitro Series. In 4th place, looking down the order, the number 18 of Bradley Murphy has been putting in work and working his way back up the standings. Gained 2 additional positions last week at Echo Park Speedway, up to 4th in the running now. Max Bauman losing out 1 more, continues to slowly trickle down the standings. Now in P5, Devin Gentry loses a couple spots after last week as well. Doug Argerbright staying neutral for now. Crank Bell gains a couple spots last week. No surprise there. The seasoned super speedway racer is always a sure bet at any type of speedway that requires drafting skill, so he picked up a couple spots last week. And Alex Finney loses 1 spot in the number 80 machine down to P9. Tanner Witt gains 3 to break into the top 10 in point standings going into Texas. Well, what better time or better way to show off the Texas Motor Speedway than to have a quick ride along with Dan Jensen for his qualifying lap that put him on top of the board with a 30.16 lap time. Now that Johnny Walker machine absolutely on rails so far. Well, scratch that. It appears our session is going to reset. Drivers are going to come out on track for warm-up, but fear not, we will still be able to have a look at a lap. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at that qualifying order on your screen now. Dan Jensen, of course, on top of the heap with that 30.162 lap time, followed close by Richard Allen in the 30.2 with a 30.201, very close behind in that number 4 Toyota. Mike Steverson in P3, just a couple thousandths off that second place lap time in his number 20 Ram 1500 to take up the third starting position. Bennett Allen's going to start fourth with a 30.209, very close lap times. Must have gone to the 10,000ths position to decide those starting order, so must have been even closer than 1,000th of a second between those third and fourth place qualifying times. Unfortunately, iRacing doesn't provide that full number to us, but we trust that proper result was used. Rounding out the top 5 in the starting order will be Doug Argerbright with a 30.213, very close times between among the entire top 10. Everyone staying within a tenth of a second of each other, and that is a very, very close qualifying field. So we should have a good race on our hands here tonight. Crank Bell's going to roll off the grid P6 with a 30.22. Terry Silvers with a 0.27. Dusty Martin's going to start P8. Kyle Nadeau is going to have a bit of an uphill battle here with the speeds being this similar between all the drivers. He rolls off P9 with a 30.29, with Zach Miller rounding out the top 10 with a 2.94, just behind his teammate in the running order. He'll start on the outside of row 5. Quick ride along here with the number 4 as we get set to beginning another lap here in the warm-up. Let's show you just what the Texas Motor Speedway is all about now. Very high-speed track. They're carrying a lot of speed into these corners. Turn 1, a bit of an uphill. They really have to get the car settled on entry. It is absolutely key to get that car down to the bottom of the racetrack to maintain grip. It gains grip as you get toward the exit of the corner, but if you can't keep the car down there, you won't be able to take advantage of that grippier track down on the bottom of the exit. Down in turns 3 and 4, nearly flat out here. Corner much more stable than 1 and 2. The truck likes to get settled down a lot easier to maintain your position on the racetrack and hold it down on that white line through those corners. The approach to turn 1 is crucial though, and this is where the tires will live or die by the inputs of these drivers. So that right front tire wear is going to be something to keep a really serious eye on. Drivers losing on average about half a tenth of lap time per lap over the course of the run. So tire fall off will be a major factor in tonight's race, and keeping an eye on the inventory of spare tires available to you will be crucial as well. And the strategy of how you utilize them as we go throughout tonight's race will be very important. Off of turn 4, if you're too wide off that corner, can throw it to the outside wall. That outside lane of turn 4 does flatten out very quickly, as does the exit of turn 2. So you got to be very careful to have that front end planted and not be pushing too tight, or it can send you to that outside safety barrier in a hurry if you're not careful. So these drivers are going to have to be extra careful as they're in traffic and side by side to ensure that they don't end up the cause of a yellow throughout the course of tonight's race. That's going to wrap up the warm-up session. Trucks will begin to grade up down on pit road as we get set to fire him off here in the Lone Star State. It's going to be Mr. Dan Jensen leading them to the green flag tonight. First pole of the season for Dan Jensen. We'll see what he can do from the front row. With a tight competition behind him, as we mentioned, a tenth of a second separating the entire top 10 of the field. Very, very close times. Only thousandths of a second separating most of those lap times in qualifying. So we know everyone's got pretty equal pace, but what can they do to conserve those Goodyear tires over the course of the run? Who's going to play the strategy right here in Texas? It's not just a shootout, it's a thinking man's game tonight. We'll see who's able to use that to their advantage and come out on top. Who can play the cards right? Who knows when to hold them and when to fold them? Well, they won't be dealing cards tonight. It'll be Goodyear Eagle Racing tires. We'll see who plays their tires right here in Texas and is able to get victory here for race number 7 of the Thursday night Nitro Series. Base truck leads him off the pit lane out onto Texas Motor Speedway. Track has been widened out a little bit. There's more to the bottom of this racetrack, a little more racing room than there used to be, especially on the exit of the corners. The drivers are going to be probably a little bit thankful for that. Once that right front tire starts to fade over the course of a long run, it does become more difficult to kind of keep your car from washing up into the car next to you. If you happen to have someone on your outside, you're going to have to watch as this track rubbers in, how that line starts to shift. We might see the middle lane come in just a little bit. Not likely we'll see the outside lane come into play here at Texas. Just hasn't really been a factor, but the season's been full of surprises, especially with the changes iRacing has made to these trucks, and now the new dynamic track surfaces that they've implemented throughout the service. So anything could happen here at Texas, and as we saw last week with the surprise start to finish green flag race at Echo Park, anything can and will happen here in the Thursday night Nitro Series. So eager to get this thing started. We'll go through our running order real quickly. As we mentioned, on pole, it's Mr. Dan Jensen in that number 29 machine. Richard Allen in the Ford, who is outside, starting row number 2 down to the inside. Mike Stiverson in the number 20 with Bennett Allen to his outside, starting 4th. Doug Argerbright's inside row number 3 with Crank Bell to his outside. Mr. Terry Silvers, the number 69 Chevrolet, starts inside of row 4 with Dusty Martin in the Long Shot Motorsports number 35, starting P9. Kyle Nadeau and Zach Miller make up row number 5. Kyle starting to the inside, Zach to the outside. And that number 38 Toyota, we'll see what they're able to do from a little bit farther back in the field here tonight. But we're getting ready to go green flag racing in Texas. Well, don your cowboy hats, put on the boots, and kick up the boots. And let's get ready to watch some racing here for the Thursday night Nitro Series. Big start on the outside lane. Jensen caught sleeping a little bit on the restart zone. That's going to give Allen and Allen that outside lane. They are making a mad run to the outside. Richard able to clear Jensen a little bit loose off of turn 2. That's going to cost him a lot of momentum. It's the number 4 out front, followed by Bennett Allen in the 15. Crank Bell takes over P3. And Dan Jensen fades back to 4th, now under fire from Mike Stuyvesant, who also had a little bit of a slow start on the initial green flag launch. Doug Argabright in the mix as well, just behind them in that number 41 Gatorade machine. Mid-packs where the action's at right now. We got the 69 as Silvers underneath the 13 of Jake Doffing for the 8th position. We're side by side going into 3, but now Doffing's going to claim that position off of 4 down into turn 1. Move Silvers back 2 spots at the drop of the green flag. Jake up 5 in just 2 laps. Bryson Clark as well, that number 73. It's been a couple weeks since we've seen him, but he has lost no speed in the meantime. He's also up 5 positions since the start of the race, just cracking the top 10. With the 00, Connell Bolton on hot on his heels. Bolton already up 9 spots since the drop of the green flag. Massive gains so far. We know he's no stranger to aggression. We'll see how that works out for him in the long run here at Texas. We mentioned tire management's going to be key throughout tonight's race of long run speed. Will we get the long run, or will we have a series of short yellow spotted stints here at Texas? We'll find out. Top of the running order, it's still RP Allen out front of Bennett Allen by just 0.2 seconds. Bennett starting to reel him in slowly but surely. Gap had been close to half a second, now just to 0.2, with Crank Bell trailing another 0.7 behind in 3rd. Knocking on the door of that 3rd position is Argabright, starting to run down the 14 of Crank Bell. Little bit wide off a turn 2 that time by. It's going to scrub a little bit off that right front tire. More importantly, scrub off a little bit of speed, and another half a car length advantage there for Bell off of turn 2, but Argabright reels him right back in through 3 and 4 with a deep send down into there. Closing within half a car length down the front straight. He's going to make the move into 1. Down to the inside is Argabright. Outside is Crank Bell in the 14. Down through 1 and 2 they go. 14 of Bell cuts back across, taking some of the air off the nose of Argabright. Once again, that's going to give him a little bit of a momentum advantage coming off that corner. Take note of that for later. That will come into play throughout the course of this race. Taking the air off the nose of the car behind you off of turn 2 will be a really good advantage for the car in front, whoever that happens to be. Seen 3 laps in a row now. That play an advantage for Crank in the number 14. Now Jensen creeping into the picture, currently running 5th. Slow start for the 29, but now clawing his way back into the picture behind Argabright, washing up just a little bit. He's going to lose a little momentum off turn 4, but still making up ground on this top 3 battle. Stuyvesant, another one trying to make up ground since the start of the race. Jake Doffing behind. Doffing had made major gains early, still up quite a few spots from the beginning of the race. Now through 10 laps of 120 here at Texas. Maybe starting to fade just a little bit on speed, but overall number 13 still looking pretty quick out there, but he's got Dusty Martin hot on his heels in that 35. We'll see if Dusty's able to make a move for that 7th position. Well, further back in the pack, we've got a side-by-side battle for the 15th spot. Sorry, make that the 16th spot. That'll be Alex Finney going by the 33 of Greg Burchett on the inside with Zach Miller in tow. Zach's going to follow him right down to that bottom lane through 1 and 2. Loses a bit of momentum. There's that dirty air at play. Miller had to get out of the throttle, and that cost him. Now he's got company in the number 30 of Cody Schultz, trying to take advantage well. Miller loses a lot of momentum. Schultz is able to actually make that pass for position. Vinny's still trying his best to clear the 33 of Burchett. Burchett hanging tight on the outside, doing everything he can to keep abreast of the number 80, but finally Finney able to make that pass and seal the deal for the 16th spot. A ways ahead of them, 88 Tanner Witt, starting to make up some ground. Closing in on the back of Kenny Reel's number 8. It's like a bit of a different look for the Waffle Motorsports number 88 driver this week. Different look for the number 91 of Patrick Coro, who he's trying to make his way around for that 14th position. Nice looking retro Whataburger scheme on that number 91 this week. Both of them still trying to chase down Kenny Reel. Up here, it's a battle between the Canadians. It's, whoa, very close down into turn 3. Nearly clipped the nose off the 97. That's Connell Bolton in the 00. Duking it out with Kyle Nadeau. We saw Connell make up a load of positions early on at the start of the race. Now maybe struggling a little bit for speed. Very easy to overheat those front tires through turn 1 and 2, and that might be costing him just a little bit now. Mentioned it would be an uphill climb for the 97, who got a little bit farther down the running order than I'm sure he would have liked to in qualifying. Kyle down 3 positions since the beginning of the race. For a track he was showing some pretty good confidence in last week. We'll see if this is a bit of a fluke or maybe a bit of a tire-saving strategy out of Kyle. Hoping that we'd get another long green flag run. So far, paying off here as he's able to make his way around the 004 position, move him up to P11. Up front, still a battle between the Allens. It's RP Allen out front, followed by Bennett Allen. Still 0.2 of a second. The gap, not much has changed out front. Very, very close between these two drivers, and picture stays about the same for that battle for third as well. Argabright out front, Craig Bell running 4th. About 4 car lengths the gap. Stretching out just a little bit. These two have reverse positions. We saw the 41 trailing earlier, has gotten that 3rd position away from Craig Bell, but Bell not letting him go just yet. Daniel Jensen still trails by about 0.3 of a second behind those two, with the 20 edging ever closer to the rear bumper of that Ford. Might have company from his teammates soon as well. Jake Doffing creeping into the picture in that number 13. He's up 6 spots, up to the 7th position in the running order now. Right along with Jake as we go through lap number 19, headed to lap number 20 of 120 here at Texas. Drivers are going to be starting to feel The front end grip go away on these trucks, and you know what that's going to make them want to do? Turn that wheel just a little bit more. But that can be a bit of a treacherous affair if you're right around other drivers or have somebody to your outside, because that rear end, if you take air off that rear spoiler, you have another car too close to you, could make that rear end step out a little bit. And we have a fistful of left steering wheel into the front end of that race truck, and all of a sudden the back end steps out. You're in for a world of trouble in a very short amount of time, especially on the exit of these corners where the track flattens out so much, as we see coming off of turn 2. Be very difficult to save, very difficult to keep the car off the wall should you find yourself in a situation like that. But so far, these drivers doing an excellent job of keeping it clean, tidy, and respectful once again. This battle tightening up for that 4th position. Crank Bell trying to hold off the 29 and 20. They inch ever closer to the back bumper of that Ram. Jensen trying to get a nose down to the inside. Crank taking that late entry, sliding down in front of Jensen, doing exactly what he needs to do to deny that air, deny that downforce off the nose of Jensen's Ford. He'll do the same down in 1 and 2, starting high, a really wide arc into the corner, cutting down in front of Jensen. Jensen with no choice but to slide up the racetrack as he loses a little bit of that front end grip, but still able to make up a little ground through 1 and 2 that time. He will have to be careful. He stays too close behind Bell. He'll do just exactly what he did right there. Slid that front tire just a little bit, and that opens the door for Mike Stiverson in the 20. He gets positioned to the inside, is able to snag that position from Jensen just like that. One little slip up was all it took to lose out on that spot for Jensen. Jensen now back to P6, Stiverson P5, Crank Bell P4 as they run currently. Up front, we finally got a battle on our hands. That 0.2 of a second has been cut down to half a car length as it's Bennett Allen to the inside of RP. Through 1 and 2, Bennett's got the preferred lane, but RP's got that number 4 Toyota wound up on the high side. He's going to stay alongside down the back stretch. Can he clear him into 3? He'll get there, but Bennett still sneaks a nose inside. Very close quarters coming off the corner here through lap number 25. It's still RP Allen leading that lap. Bennett charges to the bottom, very deep down into turn 1, hard on the brakes to keep that truck on the low side. RP is going to give up that position. He knows what this is going to do to his tires if he extends this battle too long, especially on that outside lane through 1 and 2. That is not where you want to be to preserve these Goodyear tires. He'll surrender the position for now, but don't expect this to be the end of this battle. We've got a long race ahead of us here as we cross through lap 27 at Texas. Back here, Bell has surrendered another position, this time to the 20 of Stiverson. Move him up to P4, Bell back to P5. Dan Jensen still runs P6, looking for an opening to the inside of that number 14, looking in 3 and 4, can't quite get it. Better run into the corner for Bell. We'll see who gets the run off. Half a car length, slight advantage on the exit for the 29. He's going to dive it down to the bottom of 1 and 2. That's where Jensen's been able to make the gains before. He does get a nose to the inside. That's going to force Bell a little bit farther up the racetrack, but I'm not sure if Jensen has the momentum to hang alongside. We're going to quickly cut away back to this 3-wide battle in the mid-pack, all chasing Terry Silvers. We've got Nadeau, Doffing, and Martin all going at it for this 8th spot. 3 wide down the backstretch and through 3 and 4. It looks like Doffing looking to take over that 8th position. He's hanging it to the outside of Nadeau in the 97. Nadeau's got that preferred bottom lane through 1 and 2. He's going to have the momentum off the corner. Slamming the door on the outside. Dolphin has no choice but to get out of the throttle, as now he has the 8 of Kenny Reel down to his inside. You get shuffled to that outside lane. It is very hard to keep your momentum. Once one car gets through, the others are going to try to follow. That's exactly what's happening to the 13 right now. Stuck on that outside lane, just not the preferred lane to be in. Can't find his way back down because there's a train of cars coming to the inside. Finally finding some breathing room. Going to get down to that bottom lane. Now he's got the 73 Bryson Clark on his tail, along with Dusty Martin in that 12th position. Both of them trying to find their way inside the top 10. Well, I'll tell you just how much they've slowed down. Your leader has slowed down nearly 2 full seconds from the drop of the green flag. Best lap for Bennett Allen was a 30.27. Last time by was a 31.85 for driver number 15. That is a significant fall off in just 32 laps of racing. And that's for the fastest car in the field. We move a little farther down. We're already seeing some drivers breaching that 32-second threshold. Back to this battle. Kenny Reel to the inside of Nadeau for the 8th spot. Nadeau trying to hang out on that outside. We know he's not a big fan of using the tires, so he'll surrender that position. Maybe look for a crossover off of 4, but I don't think he's got the momentum to do it. Kenny Reel gains another one. Now up to P8. Dolphin to the outside of Martin. Close quarters off turn 2 and gets a little piece of Martin. Little bit of bumper action. Hit him kind of in a bad spot. Good job by Dusty for hanging onto that truck. Probably not going to appreciate that too much out of the 13. He's been trying to make up some ground since the start of the race. Still down at 2 spots from where he was at the drop of the green flag. So Dusty Martin going to be looking for a recovery run as the sun sets and we race into the night. Take a look back. This battle for 15th is still on, and we've got Alex Finney trying to chase down the 30 of Cody Schultz, who is knocking on the door of that 88 just in front of him. Teammate Tanner Witt in 14th has got company from these two drivers. He had a pretty substantial gap a few laps ago, but slowly falling into the clutches of the Snake River Racing driver. It's like Dolphin going to peel off for his green flag pit stop on lap number 36. Expect some of these drivers to follow suit. Those fresh tires will be worth a lot of track position under green flag conditions. We'll see what the rest of the leaders decide to do as he's the first to take. Looking down the rest of the order, we got 91 of Patrick Coro started to falling back just a little bit. We've got Evan Gentry struggling just a little bit. The number 12 Sugar Maple Designs entry as well. He's running P17 right now. Lost a little bit of track position from the start of the race. Sure, he might be taking a little bit of guidance from his teammates on how to maintain that pace over the course of the long run. We'll see what he's able to do as we continue on through the race, as we've just passed the quarter-way mark in tonight's race. Approaching the third so far. Just Jake Doffing, the only taker to hit pit lane under green. I'm sure everyone hoping for a convenient caution. So far, not going to happen. It's a big battle out on the racetrack still. You got the 88 Tanner Witt has caught Bryson Clark down. Clark on the outside really looked like he was struggling through 1 and 2. Had that truck very slow, wasn't able to get it hooked down onto the bottom lane. Witt was able to take advantage, gains within to half a car length, quarter. Now he's alongside down the front straightaway. Side by side momentum favoring that 88 into turn 1. He's going to make that pass possibly cleanly. It looks like Clark might have to get out of it coming off the corner. He's got to be spending some right front tire trying to hang on the outside. And there you have it. Tanner Witt finally able to complete that pass, move him up to P11 as it stands. Looks like we had some trouble on entry for Crank Bell. Might have just locked the fronts up. I don't think we had a spin out, but definitely a flamboyant entry to pit road for Crank there. Bennett Allen still out front. Cody Schultz now trying to make a move on the 73, following the lead of the 88. Surprise entry to pit road there as Tanner Witt comes down. Finney as well. Several others also down pit lane. The mass exodus of the racetrack has commenced. Everyone pulling off for that green flag pit stop. Most of them on the same lap. Kyle Nadeau is going to stick it out one more lap, though, and take that one lap lead potentially. We'll see what kind of gap he's got for Clark. Clark also coming in, so it looks like Nadeau should lead this lap as he comes across. Bell gets his lap back after exiting the pits and going a lap down temporarily. Nadeau will lead this lap, so that'll be one bonus point for the driver in the 97 towards that battle for the points lead. Back out on the racetrack is Crank Bell, and he's making a major time, 30.33 seconds. His fastest lap so far. Track has cooled off a little bit. We'll see what he's able to do with 4 fresh Goodyear tires on that race truck. Very close to matching that time with 30.5 that time by. We mentioned they were getting to 32-second range on old tires, so Crank Bell, having been one of the first takers, has made up a lot of ground already on the front runners in the field by coming a little bit early. But will that help him over the course of the race, or will that hurt him over the long run? Because he's going to have older tires this run. Should it go green once again, you might be at a bit of a disadvantage toward the tail end of this run, but we'll see what happens. Still expecting at least one more pit stop tonight. So most of the cars come down lap number 40. That should mean they can go the rest of the way after that lap. We'll say lap 80 or so pit. It will be very close. They would be hoping to avoid a green-white checkered finish, but it's looking like most of these drivers will be able to make it onto 2-stop strategy if the race does go green. Right now, close battle between Silvers and the 69, the 35, Dusty Martin. These two have flip-flops since entry to pit road. Dusty has gained that position back from Terry, currently riding in the 8th position. Has made back a couple spots that he had previously lost. So now back to equal for the number 35 after losing a couple positions early after the drop of the green flag in tonight's race. He's finally back to where he started from. Now we'll try to continue the march forward through the field. Got one run of experience under his belt, knows what the tires are going to do, has a better idea of what the track's going to do. We'll see how he applies it. Up in front of them, this battle starting to heat up again. We've got the 14 of Bell starting to creep up on the number 29 of Dan Jensen. Making a bit of a run on the outside here. Haven't seen too much of that, using that outside the middle lane. Jensen's starting to fade up just a little bit. Trying to block the run, take some air off the nose of the 14. Bell still has the run coming down the front straightaway. Carries a load of speed off turn 4. Maybe a little too hot into turn 1 this time. We'll see if he's able to carry that momentum off the corner. So far, looking like an advantage Jensen right now. Is just in front of them, Doug Argerbright, Mike Stuyvesant going at it. Stuyvesant to the bottom, Argerbright to the top. Argerbright looks to be making speed in that middle lane right now. We'll see if he's able to clear for that position. Still not able to, as they're still side by side as they cross the stripe. See those infield spotlights coming on here at the Texas Motor Speedway, beginning that transition into nighttime. Entire track now in shadow as the sun sets on the Lone Star State, but the action is just getting started. There we go. There's the official transition. We see the rest of the track lights kick on. The shadows begin to fall from the side of these race trucks onto the track and the walls to the outside. This has been the battle of the night so far. These four just not able to get away from each other throughout the first half of this race. Frank Bell making pretty good speed here in the beginning of this second run. Looks like he's taking a little bit different line to everyone else. Different approach to 1 and 2. It's kind of taking that same wide arc through 3 and 4. Now gets a nose inside the 41 to Argerbright. He's going to have to take that low line through 3 and 4, but he's going to push up just a little bit. Crowd Argerbright to the outside. That's not where Argerbright wants to be, but will make it work. Keeps that 41 wound up. Is able to clear off of 4 to hang on to that 4th position for now, but I don't think Craig Bell is done just yet. Once again to the outside, coming off turn 2. He's going to have to lift a little bit to keep it off that outside wall. Track flattens out. Now we've got Dan Jensen right behind, nearly gets into the back of the 14 after that lift. Jensen being patient, kind of waiting for these guys to use their stuff up, kind of fall into the trap of getting too racy with each other. That side-by-side racing pays, or costs quite a bit here at Texas. It's going to cost you a lot of tire life on that right front. If you don't think you can hold the spot, it's probably best just to concede and preserve that tire for better speed overall throughout the course of the run. So it doesn't matter where you are on track right now. What matters is where you are at the end. The driver is going to be keeping that big picture in mind, especially those up front. Speaking of up front, this gap still hasn't changed all that much. Bennett Allen carries just a 0.3 of a second lead over RP in the 4. And that gap is starting to close just a little bit as he contends with the lap traffic, or soon to be lap traffic, of Max Bauman. Bauman a little bit wide down to turn 1. He's racing that 15 mighty hard, trying to keep himself on the lead lap. They are on equal tires. Both drivers came down the same lap. Bauman pinches him down, but Allen having none of it. Punches the 15 down to the inside and is able to finally clear for that pass. But here comes the 4. RP down to the inside, and the 4 is able to get alongside into turn 1. Dives it down for the lead. The 4 has to get out of it. Gets crowded down to the inside just a little bit. Loses the momentum on that inside lane. Be Bennett Allen hanging on to that top spot for now, but that 4 looks pretty racy here at the start of the second run. It's bad news bears for a lot of these drivers because, believe it or not, Kyle Nadeau remains a lap down. We've already got everybody up to the 15th position is one lap down under green flag conditions here at Texas Motor Speedway. Not what we expected. I didn't think there would be that much of a discrepancy in speed between the drivers, especially given how close all the qualifying laps were, but differences in tire management and I think just approach to the race has set some drivers apart from the rest. We've got a pretty big split between the top half of the field and the bottom. And some pretty unexpected names fading down off of the lead lap here in the first half of the race. We'll see what they're able to do throughout the rest of the run. They're all going to be hoping for a caution to get their lap back, but so far it's looking like it's going to go green for quite a while in this week's race. Miller currently the first car. Sorry, that'll be Gentry. Currently the last car on the lead lap. We'll see what the gap is. There's Gentry. There's Allen coming off of turn 4. So about a straightaway gap as of right now. Like Gentry had a pretty good round of pit stops that time. Picked up a few spots. He's running about 17th before that green flag pit stop cycle. Now 14th in the order after things get settled out. Looks like we did have a couple what I believe to be speeding penalties on pit road. Looks like Kyle Nadeau, Connell Bolton, Bryson Clark, and Cody Schultz all having extended pit cycles that time by. Kind of similar to what we saw last week. That is what hurt quite a few drivers in the field, was those speeding penalties on pit lane. It's something you can't have during green flag racing on tracks like this where the racing gets spread out and really not too many accidents happen. But unfortunately, that seems to be where we see those mistakes happen the most. The drivers trying to make or keep every bit of track position they have and just maximize their entries onto pit lane, and inevitably a few end up pushing the envelope just a little bit too far, speeding on pit lane. We see it once again this week. Look at this. Actually a battle for position here, I believe, between Randall Peasley and Max Bauman. No, Peasley was putting in quite a few laps of practice here at Texas, looking to improve on past results. Getting pretty racy here with the number 89. We'll see what he's able to do. He's caught him, but will he be able to make the pass? Bauman making a pretty good defensive effort so far. This happening right in the lap of that lead lap battle between the 20 and the 41. Bauman crowds him down to the inside. Easily gets the momentum off of turn 4, and it looks like he's going to make that pass down to turn 1. Easily clears off of turn 2 for the spot. That'll be position number 15 on the racetrack as, looks like he overcooks it a little bit down into 3 and 4. Up the racetrack he goes. Now the lead lap cars with 20 and the 41 will work their way by. Argerbright was hoping to open up the exit of that corner to keep some of that momentum, but having to keep it pinned down to the inside, costing him a little bit of time to the 20 here. He's not liking how hard they're racing him as lap traffic, but that's also a battle for position between the two as Bauman once again finds his way to the inside of the 63. Not at all what Argerbright wants to see in front of him. Both cars wash up the track. Argerbright's going to clear Bauman. Unfortunately, not able to get clear of Peasley. The lap battle continues to hamper the efforts of the 41. Now the 20 has set sail in that third position, well clear of what's going on behind. Argerbright has got to be frustrated with what's going on with the lap traffic in front of him. I mentioned just the similar pace between everyone in the field. These drivers really not that much slower than the cars on the lead lap, just kind of happenstance of where things settle out for those pit stops. Argerbright now elects to go to the outside, able to clear Bauman that way. Now working on Peasley for the spot. Finally able to clear that lap battle. Argerbright now sets his sights once again on the back of that number 20 Ram. That gap between them now about 0.3 of a second that he probably wishes he had back. Keep an eye on that battle as it continues to progress. Back here, it's still Terry Silvers and Dusty Martin going at it for that 8th position. Martin's starting to put a little bit of a gap on Terry. Over the course of this green flag run, number 35 starting to come alive as the track cools down here in the nighttime. Starting to make a pretty good recovery here this evening. This gap continues to close. Argerbright has the pace, has already closed to within 2.5 car lengths of Stuyvesant in 20. Down to the inside, big run off of turn 2 that time for Argerbright. This sends it deep down into 3 and 4. Stuyvesant not gonna contest that pass, gonna let him roll right on by, not gonna slow them down by running side by side for laps. Gonna try to preserve the long run speed of that race truck and settle in the 4th spot and keep on trucking. Argerbright right on par with the laps of the top 2. It's a 31.70 and a 31.71 for 2nd and 3rd. Last time by 31.80 for Bennett. RP and Doug both with 31.88. So very, very close lap times between the top 3. Argerbright just lacking the track position. A whole straightaway ahead is the 4, and another 1.5 seconds ahead of him is the 15. Maybe not in the track we necessarily expected Bennett Allen to be good at. He likes a loose race car, likes to kind of be on the ragged edge. Here at Texas, these trucks are tending to be very tight off the corners and through the center, but still is able to make it work and figure out something that works for him here at Texas. Able to loop it around right on that bottom line, painting the white line through 3 and 4. See what that entry to 1 and 2 looks like as the tires start to age. Looks like that 15 is still looking pretty solid out there. Able to take a nice arc into the corner, getting down right on that tar seam and down all the way to the bottom for the exit of the corner. A really nice looking line still, even after 35 laps on the tires. Another 6 to 7 laps. We'll expect the 2nd round of pit stops to kick off. And what may just be our fastest race of the season, because goodness, is this race flying by. We're already lapped 75 of 120. here in Fort Worth. A bit of a battle between teammates going on back here. This for the 10th position. Vinny able to make his way, I believe, just passing his teammate for that 10th position. We saw that number 80 struggle a little bit in the first run, ran behind his teammate for the entirety of that first green flag cycle. Coming alive now that the track is under the lights. And cooling off, Alex Finney starting to make a charge forward, up 8 positions so far. Finney running pretty good lap times, about a 32 flat last time. That is right around top 5 lap time. So still potential positions to be gained for one of the rookies in the field. Speaking of rookies, one of the drivers out this week, Bradley Murphy, currently leading that Rookie of the Year points battle. Has a 56 point lead going into this race, with Finney being second, just 1 point ahead of his teammate Tanner Witt for that second spot in rookie points. So very tight battle for the Rookie of the Year standings going on, at least for second place as it goes right now, with Murphy missing out this week. We'll see if that tightens up after this week's conclusion. Out front, problems on getting on the pit road. We saw the 15 completely sideways. We'll see if he sped on entry. Completely locked up and sideways going into that corner was Bennett Allen. We'll see. I think we'll take another peek at that entry to pit lane, because that was quite a dramatic slide. Go ahead and hit that replay and watch his entry down the pit lane. Be under green flag conditions. That commitment line is also the speed commitment line, so I'm not sure if he quite caught it. We'll go ahead and take one more look at this entry. We'll go ahead from the chase cam. We'll see if we can't figure out exactly what kind of speed he was doing at this point. We'll go ahead and pause at the line, looking at timing and scoring at this point. It's still hard to judge. If he was speeding, it will be very close. We'll figure out soon enough. Still showing a pretty standard pit lane time, so I think he might have got that thing under wraps. We'll see if he has to come in and serve a penalty within 3 laps for a speeding violation. If he's able to clear that, then we'll know that he is free and clear and was able to get that thing slowed down. But bit of a moment on pit entry there for Bennett Allen. Very fast pit cycle for Bennett that time, but even faster by nearly a second over pit lane time for the entire field was this guy right here, Kenny Reel, with 45 seconds flat from pit road entry to pit road exit. Bennett Allen was the next fastest, and he had a 45.92, and nearly a full second of time made up by Kenny Reel through that last green flag cycle. So number 8 is moving up so far, up 18 positions on track since the drop of the green flag tonight. So by far and away, the biggest mover so far tonight is car number 8. I mentioned the track speeding up last time by 30.06 for Bennett Allen. That'll cinch up that fastest lap time for now by nearly a tenth over the second place car. Now finds himself 4.5 seconds back. The devil's in the details for the drivers here in Texas, and that has come down to green flag pit stops. Unfortunately for a lot of these guys, the top 4 drivers on track right now are really good at executing those green flag pit stops. That is where races have been made and broken here tonight. A couple more cars have faded down a lap from the leaders. Stuyvesant caught speeding on pit lane, Argerbright as well. So 2 cars who were very fast throughout the whole first half of this race, both caught speeding on pit lane, relegated 1 lap down in 13th and 14th positions respectively. You know what that does? That makes an even better point stay for the Waffle Motorsports gang. Alex Finney, Tanner Witt gained 2 free spots off that, now running 7th and 8th after having previously been 9th and 10th in the running order. Smooth and Consistent have been finding their way forward through the field in the latter half of this race. Finney, another big mover tonight, up 11 spots since the start of the event. His teammate Tanner Witt up 4. It may be a lap down, but the battle has not stopped. Between the 20 and the 41, both caught with speeding, both still going toe-to-toe. What is currently the 13th position on the racetrack. I don't think these two have really stepped outside 5 car lengths of each other throughout the course of the entire race so far, as Argerbright looks to the inside through 3 and 4 this time, down to the bottom, painting that white line. Got to be careful not to get too far down, because it does protrude in a couple spots at the bottom of 3 and 4, and you can get those left side tires kicked off the bottom just a little bit, kind of bounce the truck off the bottom, and it shifts you up the racetrack. Ooh, a bit of aggression there. Tony Stuyvesant puts the bumper to the 41, trying to keep him at bay, but it is for naught as the 41 of Doug Argerbright goes through for that 13th spot. Let's see if he can pull away with a bit of a gap. Not going to happen yet. Here comes the 20, diving it deep down into turn 1 and right in the lap of the 35. Dusty Martin running 6th right now. He really doesn't want to be involved in this. He's got a good recovery run going, and really he's just being held up by lap traffic, and that's kind of been the name of the game for these two drivers in front of him tonight. They'd been dealing with lap traffic between the 89 and the 63 just before the green flag pit cycle. Now after, they are the lap traffic getting in the way of the top 10 battle going on around them. Couple more bite the dust and go a lap down. Zach Miller and Devin Gentry both go a lap down. Now it's only the top 10. Sorry, not even the top 10, as Coro goes a lap down as well. Top 9 remaining on the lead lap. Terry Silver is currently occupying the last position on the lead lap. Everybody's going to be hoping for a caution to fly any time now. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but if the 20 and the 41 get together again, you just might. We saw that pretty edgy defensive move out of the 20. Try to keep the 41 down to the inside, not give him the entry to the corner that he wanted, and you can only do that so much before things go sideways. Dusty finally will clear lap traffic. Has fallen a little bit further behind his teammate Bell, though. Bell currently running just inside the top 5 in that 5th position, with quite a distant gap to Real in front of him, about 6.3 seconds up to that 4th place on track, and that battle's starting to heat up a little bit as well. Real has caught Jensen for that position. We'll see if he's able to make a move to the outside. He looks through 1 and 2. Jensen taking a little higher line, wants to get that high side exit to keep the momentum wound up in his 29 Ford. Able to hold him off for now, down to 3 and 4. Now painting that line on the bottom of the racetrack. Brightness Tire Tracks is the 8. Jensen drifts up just a little bit on exit. Might have cost him a little bit there, but no, pulls away another car length. Now 2.5 car lengths separate these two for the 3rd position. It's gotten to the bumper, but that dirty air plays a big factor on tires this old on a racetrack like Texas. You just lose the nose and it wants to plow its way up the racetrack. But we've seen him come through the field from the back. Mentioned before, 18 positions gained, so he's no stranger to being able to make passes, because that is what he's done all day long so far. Lead gap continues to extend, now 2.5 seconds between Allen and Allen. Yeah, maintained right around 3 truck lengths back to the 8. Slight gains here and there, but that gap continues to remain pretty equal between these two. Only 1/100th of a second separating the lap times. They've traded several times back and forth through the course of the last 5 laps on the racetrack. Now inside 20 to go, it's 19 to go. Presently at Texas Motor Speedway. Bennett Allen still leads the way out front. RP 2.3 seconds back. Now with 18 to go, RP dealing with some lap traffic. He's got Patrick Coro in front and 2 lap cars in the 73 and 63 doing battle behind him. Mentioned how competitive the lap times are out on the racetrack, and that those pit stops made all the difference. These cars that are one lap down running the same speeds or faster than the leaders out on the racetrack. You've been seeing all night that it's very, very hard to put these lap cars behind you, because really they're just as competitive out on the track and just as fast as the leaders. It's been the little details in the pit stops, pit entry, pit exit, placement in the pit box that have made the difference throughout the course of the race. RP able to wrangle that position back from the 73 for now. I don't think the 73 is done yet, because he's trying to put distance on the 63, who he's battling for position. Now, this is a lap down battle, but intense nonetheless. Bryson Clark trying to hang on to that spot, but believe it or not, maybe one of the lead lap cars, one of the leaders, are kind of getting in the way. These are on equal tires as well. All these cars came down lap 81. So everyone in picture right now on the same set of tires. Lap cars hanging right in there on speed. It's very, very close between the field. Very impressive driving out of all these guys. It is just a battle of attrition. And it's the little tenths of a second here and there on pit lane, and the ability to manage and minimize mistakes in your laps that are making the difference. And so far it's been Bennett Allen having nearly a perfect race. A little bit slower last pit stop, but he was able to give himself a cushion getting back out on the racetrack. And so far been able to make short work of lap traffic as well, and that's been making the difference for RP. We mentioned that gap before. It's around 2.5 seconds now over 3, as 73 still working on the back end of that 4, trying to find his way by. If you did know better, you would think this was a battle for position on the lead lap, but everything's that close, top to the bottom of the field. 31:70, Bennett Allen's last lap time. 31:57, matched for third and fourth. We'll take a cruise down to, let's say, 18th in the running order. 63, right here. 31:79. Within a tenth, top to bottom, all the way down the leaderboard. Very rare that you'll see a race quite that close. It's been very close all the way through. And it continues to be. Peasley right there on the back bumper of the 73, just hasn't quite been able to get a nose inside. That's been the gap for position pretty much the whole night. Car behind seems to stall out right around 3 to 4 car lengths behind due to that dirty air, and just unable to generate enough of a run to get by the car in front, unless you've kind of got somebody behind you taking some air off the spoiler and helping you generate some momentum. But Peasley doesn't have that right now. It's clear track behind him for a ways. Back up here, the battle for third is still happening. It is the 8 of Kenny Reel, the 29 Dan Jensen. Reel still just 3 car lengths behind, is stalled out in that 8 truck, unable to generate even a little bit of ground on the back end of Jensen's F-150. Pretty good exit off of 4 that time, closes it within 2. We'll see if he can carry that momentum through 1 and 2, where Jensen has tended to be better. Jensen taking a low entry. That car seems to rotate just a little bit better through the center, but not that time. Jensen a little bit slower, the 8 of Reel to the outside, side by side, down into 3. Just 8 laps to go to settle this battle. Or Texas shootout, if you want to call it. Still side by side for the second lap in a row. Dead even down into turn 1. It's Jensen to the inside, Real to the outside. A little bit of a slide coming off of the corner for the 29. That's going to compromise the exit speed and might just be enough for Real to clear down into 3, and he does. Real clears for that position, slams the door in the bottom for the 29. Takes the air off the nose, and that's going to give him a little bit of a gap. 2 car lengths the gap back to Jensen now. Jensen comes back just a little bit on the front straight, but now it's going to be an uphill battle trying to get that ground back from the driver of the 8 truck, who has been absolutely lights out fast the whole night. Should we see a caution in the near future? I wouldn't count out that 8 truck for a shot at the win, but with just 6 laps to go on the racetrack, that's not looking likely, but anything can happen here in the Thursday Night Nitro Series. Back in 7th and 8th, they have swapped positions. Alex Finney now dropping back to 8th position. Tanner Witt taking over that spot, so we'll see who takes over that second spot in the rookie points standings at the end of the night. Wherever they finish will be where they settle out for that battle for this week. So battle between teammates for second place, or second position in the Rookie of the Year standings. Looks like the 80 got a little bit loose last time. Might be starting to feel the effects of the old tires on that race truck. Still managing to close the gap just slightly, though. Witt drifts up just a little bit through 3 and 4. That's going to allow Finney to close the gap. Now just half a truck length gap as they enter 1. Defensive inside line for the 88, painting that white line maybe a little bit too much. We saw him tap it just a little bit, push the truck to the outside. Once again, going to be momentum advantage for the 80. Swapping spots yet again. Now Finney leads across the stripe. There's just 4 laps to go. Looking back here, we got a battle between the 12 and the 91. This is for the 10th position. Last spot inside the top 10. Devin Gentry looking for it. Gets wide into turn 1. Going to lose a little bit of momentum. Cuts it back down on exit. Can he make the crossover happen on Coro? He does get the nose inside. Now draws even as they enter 3 down the bottom. The preferred lane through 3 and 4. He's going to run him up the racetrack a little bit. Wants to keep the RPMs up on that number 12 truck to get a good run off the corner. But it's going to be Coro at the stripe. Now 2 to go in Texas. Still side by side into 1. Gentry crowds Coro up the racetrack. Tries to get him outside that rubber, outside that grip zone on the bottom. He wants the momentum. He's got it off of 2 so far. Now drawing back alongside is Coro. Coro with the nose ahead as they enter 3. It's been a lights out night as they cross to 1 to go. Bennett Allen out front by a commanding lead of 4.8 seconds, nearly 5 seconds on the racetrack over RP Allen in the 4. Kenny Reel with a massive gain of 19 positions on the night up to 3rd place has been the story of the night. Great effort by the driver number 8. Maybe 1 caution away from potentially winning it all, but it's Bennett Allen through 3 and 4 to take the win at Texas Motor Speedway in race number 7 of the Thursday Night Nitro Series. Back to this battle, side by side across the stripe. It's going to be Gentry claiming that last spot inside the top 10 by maybe a foot at the line. That's big for the team point standings because there is bonus points for both of the top finishing drivers on a team being inside of the top 10. So that means a lot for those turnaround turbos drivers as Gentry claims that last spot inside the top 10. Well, there and gone that fast here at Texas. Action happens fast, even if there's not a lot of cautions. It was still quite a great race from a technical standpoint here at Texas. All the drivers did absolutely fantastic tonight, and you could tell all throughout the race that everybody on the racetrack had speed, and it was the details that mattered. And once again, Bennett Allen showing that he knows how to get it done. He knows how to not make those small mistakes and keep everything in line to claim victory yet again here in the Thursday Night Nitro Series. We'll go ahead and take a quick look at our complete race results here from Texas. 120 laps in the books, 5 green flag lead changes among 3 different drivers, and a total of 0 caution laps once again, which is outstanding and really unheard of for this series. I think that may be a record, 2 races in a row. So outstanding driving by all these guys involved. Bennett Allen on top. RP Allen finishes in second with Kenny Reel third. Dan Jensen holding off Crank Bell for that 4th spot. Crank Bell and Dusty Martin, the long shot teammates, finished 5th and 6th, with another group of teammates finishing 7th and 8th. Alex Finney finally was able to get that position back from Tanner Witt to hold on to that 2nd spot in the rookie points. He finishes P7 with Witt in P8. Terry Silvers in the 69 finishes in the 9th position. And as we mentioned, Devin Gentry claiming that last spot inside the top 10 at the stripe over Patrick Coro to round out our top 10. Further down the order, Coro obviously 11th. Zach Miller finishes P12 in his number 38. Doug Augerbright, after speeding on pit lane, was able to claw back from Mike Stiverson for that 13th position, with Stiverson finishing just behind him in 14th. Kyle Nadeau was a rough day and maybe not one that he expected here at Texas. He finishes P15 with Max Bauman in the 89. Team Highlands Racing entry in P16. Bryson Clark, P17. Randall Peasley, P18. That was a long-fought battle between those two. Clark coming out on top. Connell Bolton in the 00 finishes P19. Cameron Creasong in 20th. Cody Schultz, P21. Greg Burchett, P22. And Jake Doffing rounding out the field in 23rd for the night. All right, our top 3 are lined up here on the front stretch. We'll get them inside the booth in just a moment and go ahead and kick off interviews for tonight. Apologies. Give us just a moment to get them lined up in the booth. Go ahead and get our top 3 in here. We're going to go ahead and start with Mr. Kenny Reel, driver of the number 8, who had a whale of a day coming from way back in the field, making up 19 spots since the drop of the green flag to come home inside the top 3. Seemed like you were taking a liking to Texas, and your comments we saw earlier on in Discord, and you definitely showed that out on the racetrack. Put together a heck of a race, making your way back up, and I think you might have been 1 caution flag away from being in contention for a win, but unfortunately just didn't see that happen tonight. But take us through your race, Kenny, and how'd you like your the outcome here at Texas?
If you're talking, I can't hear you.
All right, we'll try this
I cannot
again.
hear anything in here.
All right, how about now? Think we got it sorted?
I can hear you now.
All right. I was saying, had a heck of a day. Came from pretty much the back of the field to the front. 19 positions made, most passes on the day. So kind of pulled a Ryan Blaney this week and brought that thing from the back of the field all the way to the front, which was hard to do because at Texas this week, the new Texas looks very hard to pass at with this truck and the new aero, dynamic track, all those things factored in. We didn't really see anyone else making that much ground up, but you seem to have this figured out. This new layout of Texas and the truck. Take us through your race and how you feel about that result.
Yeah, I kind of messed myself over with getting in here late and not being able to qualify. And I knew I'm really good here at Texas. For some reason, this track likes me and I like it back. And yeah, it's just a tire saving track. People seem to overdrive turn one. And I mean, you can overdrive turn three and four. And I was just laying back, letting it coast for a while in the middle corner and just slowly making my time up. And yeah, that first stint, I made a lot of passes to get through the field, and I was making a lot of ground up on entry to pit road, made up a couple seconds each time we pitted. And yeah, it was just basically just tire saving race and hopefully being able to get some sort of clean air on the nose and just keep going through the field.
Well, might have a weight advantage because it looks like the decals, all but the league decals, stripped off of that race truck, so you might have shaved a few ounces, gave you a little bit of an advantage. Don't know if that's on your end or ours, but you're looking like a clean pearly white tonight, but you look fast nonetheless. But you mentioned bit of overdriving tended to be the theme of the night. And we saw that from a few guys who I think just got a little too zealous on the early run. But what was your key to getting around drivers? We saw that was really hard. Even a lot of the leaders, we saw the 4 struggling with getting by lap traffic, came up on the 73 and the 63 and just wasn't able to make that pass and just kept getting stuck side by side with lap traffic. What was your key to getting around people fast, quick enough, and effective enough to not overheat that right front and potentially damage your tires for the rest of the run?
Yeah, you really just had to set it up right. It's like I didn't think I was gonna be able to get around Daniel there at the end, because it's really like in three and four, it's basically you can hold it down full throttle on each lane, and if they're side drafting you on the top lane, it's impossible. Then in one and two, if as long as you don't overdrive it on the top lane, you can do the same there. So unless you really send it in turn one and two, which I had to do a few times to get clear, you can do that and then put dirty air on the guy's nose to get him tight behind you. Or just simply, I mean, like what I did with Daniel there at the end, I went up and drove it down the hill to hopefully get a run. And I knew if I got to his outside or something and got side by side, because I could tell I was faster than him long run. And as long as I got side by side, I could complete the pass at some point. But it gave me a fight there at the end. It is hard to pass here. Like you probably watched it all night. It's really hard here. You can be faster than someone and still not get by them, especially with the new aero package. You can just dump dirty air on somebody and kill their stuff up if they ain't taking care of it.
Well, your weapon out there, I'm sure everyone in the field was probably rooting for you at the end there, hoping for a last-minute caution to kind of reset the front running order, because it looked like you had the speed to potentially get it done if you had the chance, but unfortunately the track position just didn't pay out. But overall, third place, nothing to be ashamed of, especially with what you came back from, and as hard as it was to pass here, you kind of seem to have the trick down to getting by people quickly, and were able to consistently make ground up every single run, and most importantly, I guess, didn't make any errors on your pit stops, which we saw plagued quite a few drivers. It looked like we had probably 6 or 7 speeding penalties on entry, which is a little tricky because you got the commitment line and the speed line as the same thing on this Texas pit road entry, so I think that might have caught a couple people out. But yeah, really no mistakes, and I think you had to pass the fastest pit lane time of the night with a 45 flat, and I think Bennett was about a 45.8. So almost a full second there gain just on pit lane on that last round of green flag pit stop. So kudos there too, not only fast on the track, but fast to getting it done during those green flag stops too.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people sitting it, and they moved. I think they moved the commitment cone up, which the first green flag run almost got me because I didn't remember what pit road speed was, and I just sent it in there, and I think a lot of people did the same. And I seen the cone, and I thought it was gonna get me, but luckily it didn't. And Yeah, a lot of people made up a lot of ground on pit road if you could get the entry right and not get sideways. It's really easy to get sideways, especially under heavy braking like that.
Well, you did it to perfection and nearly got yourself, put yourself in the best position you could for the night to keep yourself in contention for a win. But got to settle for third, but definitely not, something to be proud of with, like you mentioned, or missing out on qualifying, have to, fight an uphill battle the entire way through. So congrats on P3 and excellent race tonight.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, that was P3 finisher Kenny Reel. Go ahead and bring in our second place finisher, another absolutely lights out fast guy tonight. Which was, man, it was, everybody was fast tonight, and it was hard to pass top to bottom. But take us through your race at the end. We saw you trading lap times for a lot of the race, but it looks like you got mired back in lap traffic for a bit. I know a lot of these guys were fast. They were running lead, guys down in 17th, 18th, running the same laps as you and Bennett were out front. So how'd that Texas race play out for you? And do you think you had anything for Bennett or anything you would have changed over the course of the night?
Only thing I think he beat me at was entry to pit road. I think that's where I lost a lot of my gap. I was trying to overcut it for the lap, and it almost worked. I got it down to where I was about a tenth a lap, and about 20 laps to go. So I would have definitely caught him if it wasn't for the lap car. But lap car has a right to the track as well, so it's on me for playing my strategy incorrectly, but that's all right. We'll get him next time, I guess. But I think the only thing I would change about the race is not getting aggressive on pit road.
Well, that nearly bit Bennett as well. If you look back at the broadcast, I don't have it queued up on the replay right at this moment, but back in the broadcast, took a pretty spicy entry to pit lane on that last round of green flag pit stops. Had all four tires locked down, sliding sideways across the commitment line on that last round of stops. But I apparently was able to get it slowed down enough to keep himself out of a penalty because he ended up not having to serve one. So we wondered there for a minute. We kind of waited out that three lap grace period. You have to come serve it. So, but got away with another one. We said he is the king of getting lucky, and it happened once again. We're kind of looking forward to a shootout at the end. I think it would have been a heck of a battle between the top three. Kenny came back from, I believe, starting down in 21st. All the way up to third, just on the green flag, which is a whale of an accomplishment because as well as anyone how hard it was to pass people.
Yeah, most definitely. I think I don't know. I think Bennett won that race off of pit road. He just was more aggressive. I thought I would maybe lose 5/10 of a second, and it turned out to be 2.5, 3 seconds. So good for him. You know, another win, another lucky win. But all right, I'll get him next week for sure.
All right, I like the confidence. We saw confidence last week that didn't quite work out, but we're fingers crossed somebody will be able to take it to him. I thought this was going to be the week because everyone was so similar on pace. I mean, even in qualifying, top 10 were all within a tenth of a second of each other, so it was looking like it was really going to be a good race if we could just get one thing to work in our favor to stack up the field and get everyone bunched up for the end. But unfortunately, didn't work out quite for what we would have preferred for TV. But overall, still a fantastic race, and shout out to everyone in the field for keeping it clean. Not a single caution for the second race in a row, which is wild. If anyone's been following this league since the beginning. And I think that'll kind of shake up the points as well because there'll be quite a few people out there getting that the 0x bonus, which will be 2 bonus points in the driver's standings as well. So I think a lot of people stand to gain from that. But fantastic driving there. Glad to have you back with us after having you off for a race or two, and looking forward to next week, which I believe is going to be Mexico City. So switching up to a road course. How you feeling about Mexico City? We haven't seen you on a road course yet, so we'll have to take your word for whatever you tell us here.
I usually am a lot more competitive against Bennett on the road courses. Just depends on how the NASCAR is or the truck is on the road course over there. I haven't done it there, but in leagues past, I was usually faster than Bennett on the road courses. So we'll see what happens. Need to do some practice for sure, but I definitely will be competitive.
All right, we'll definitely be looking for the number 4 to be in contention next week. Congrats on that runner-up finish here. A hard-fought race, and we'll be looking to see us south of the border. We're almost there now here in Texas, but we're going to head just a little ways south to Mexico City next week, and we'll hopefully see you for another interview then.
Yes, sir. You have a good one.
All right, you two, that's been our runner-up finisher, the number 4, Richard Allen. All right, now finishing on the top spot, number 15, once again, no stranger to victory lane this season or last. Gets it done here at Texas Motor Speedway in what was a hard-fought race for everybody, green flag to flag. And overall, it was a battle of attrition, mostly fought on pit road, and you were able to get it done and execute. Take us through that last pit road entry. We happened to catch that off the corner and went and grabbed a replay of it. And what was your thoughts on entry to pit road that last time by?
Hold on, I need to find it in the broadcast. What lap was it?
Oh, let's see. Well, it would have been around. We pitted about every 40 laps, so I think 80, lap 80, possibly 79.
Yeah, I found it. All right, let me explain what happened here. All right, I lost it. Okay, I was trying to send it just a little bit deeper to where my braking marker was for pit road. There's a giant yellow sign plastered on the wall in 4, and on that first pit stop, I broke before it, and I was plenty slow getting on the pit road. Like I was like 43, 42 miles per hour. Pit road speed is 45. And in my head, I was like, well, it's it's cooler. Track temp's cooler. I should be able to push it a little bit more. And then when I hit that transition, I don't know what happened. I just didn't have as much brake pressure in it or something. And I noticed that I was like 80, and I was like, I don't know, 100 feet from the line. So I had to stab the brake pedal, and I had the brake bias pushed all the way to the rear. So I had better turn in 1 and 2 later in the run. And it just shattered the rear tires, and I had almost spun it. But I made pit road speed. By the grace of God, I made pit road speed. And we had a good pit stop. And I undercut my brother and everybody else. For about 20 laps of that last run, I was clutching in 1 and 2 because I was about half a lap short. And so for the last 20 laps, I was just clutching it. And funny part about that was when I'd clutch in at the black sign going in the 1, and I let it roll. And then the second I came off the clutch, like it would give me more center turn, like miraculously. And yeah, that's kind of burning up my right rear, but I'd rather have the truck loose than tight at this track. And so it helped me. And so I kept doing it because it was working. Like I was like, all right, I'm just gonna keep clutching it. And I ended up, still gapping my brother, which he had a really good run there at the end. He caught me from like 5 seconds back off pit road. And I thought he was gonna give me a run for my money, but I knew once he got in my wake, I would have had an advantage, but he never really got to that point. So
yeah, definitely got caught out a little bit by lap traffic as well. We had a battle for, I believe, 17th and 18th going on, and they were running the same lap times as you guys out front. So I mean, just a testament to how fast everybody was here. So like you mentioned, pit road is where it happened. So being able to play that out and get that little bit of an edge, I think over the long run, it seemed like you could place the car a little better than a lot could. And I think, like you had mentioned, being able to clutch and burn that right front to protect or burning the right rear to protect the right front a little bit, I think might have helped you over the long run, keep that neutral balance. But yeah, overall, just incredible how equal everybody was. It looked kind of like a Cup Series race. If there's any regulars out there who are watching the Cup Series week to week, hard to pass consistently, and that's what it looked like here at Texas.
It was so hard to pass, dude. I remember early in the run when I was running behind my brother, like I was trying to save, but also was trying to keep the gap. And with the clean air, like he had better center rotation. and so I kept trying to get cleaner on my nose on 1 and 2, and that's where I would gain time was 1 and 2, because 3 and 4 early in the run was just flat out, and when you're in the wake, it's going to push the nose up, and so I couldn't do anything, and so finally I tried to run the top a little bit. I would get a good run off of 4, but then I can't do anything in 1 and 2. And so I just tried to find little things, trying to get clean air, clean track, and I was eventually able to pass him. But it took me like 8-10 laps to do it. Like once I finally got to his inside, it still took me a full lap and a half to overdrive 1 and clear him. So I can really see where it got frustrating for a lot of people, just because even behind lap cars was hard to pass. It was really hard to get a run, even though you're that much faster in either one set of corners or both. Like I'd catch everybody in 1 and 2, but then 3 and 4 it's pretty easy, and so I would lose the momentum in 3 and 4 because I'd get caught up in their wake. So it was weird, but I'm glad we still were able to win. It's a good points day. I think my gap on Kyle's way better than it was. It was like a point coming into the race, and he finished like 16th or something because he sped on pit road. So I should have a pretty decent points gap going into, I think, Mexico City next week. So
yeah, it'll be a bit of shake up there. That caught quite a few people out. I think we saw probably 6 or 7 speeding penalties throughout the night, which I think is probably the most we've had all season. Honestly, we had 2 races that went green, is where we saw those speeding penalties, because everyone's getting every last thousandth of a second that they can on and off pit road and just pushing the envelope a little too far. But yeah, like you mentioned, Mexico City next week, and it looks like Mr. Richard might be looking to take it to you next week. I heard a lot of confidence going on there once we hit the road course.
Yeah, he's not as good as I am. We've established that in the endurance races we've done. We've established that in other leagues that we ran. He'll be close, but I still think I'll have him by at least 8/10 to a second a lap. So,
wow, big claims for Mexico City. I'm looking forward to next week to seeing how this plays out.
Well, I love that track, man. Whenever they came out with it, the first thing I did was run the Xfinity car on there, and I haven't done much in the truck, but I know the truck is a little bit more faster just because it's more downforce. So it's gonna be fun. The little hairpin turn in the back half of the racetrack is like the NASCAR turn, I call it, because it's just like an oval, but turning right. And you can cut the corners a lot more because the national layout is supposed to be like the NASCAR layout, right? And so they don't have strict like off-track penalties and strict like what's the word I'm looking for, like runoff.
Right.
Other road courses on our schedule, it's sometimes on iRacing they have really strict rules, but they're starting to like create NASCAR configurations of these racetracks. And I could talk more about it next week, but there's 2 sets of like S's, and you can cut a lot of curb without getting a slowdown or 1X. Like it's more than you think. Like this will help everybody if they watch the broadcast. If you can have your left side tires, so if you're going on a right-hand turn, your left side tires can still be on the rumble strips and it won't be a slowdown. So your all 4 tires can be on the rumble strips or below it and it won't be a slowdown. And so that's how you get the extra 10th or extra 2/10 or extra second, just by knowing those little, rules. Because if you watch any of the NASCAR road course races, there's no such thing as track limits. It does not exist.
This is true.
With my experience, it's actually not necessarily faster. Maybe at like Watkins Glen turn 1, and then Watkins Glen, what is it, like after the carousel, that big runoff. Like those 2, you carry more momentum by just going way off the racetrack. But like I think it's turn 6 and 7. There's that little runoff before you get to the front straight at Watkins Glen. Like if you go off the runoff there, you're gonna have to crank the wheel to the left to get back on the racetrack. Then you're scrumming off time, right? So I'll be interested to see how next week goes. I know a lot of people don't like road courses. I know some people are better than others. It's like my favorite thing to do in iRacing is to whip around a hunk of metal around a road course. So I'm excited. But
that's good. But
yeah.
it will be a little more competitive because your main contender in the point standings right now is also a pretty good fan of road courses. So it'll be interesting, especially seeing after how close it was at Coda last season, how that'll pan out this time around.
Track shouldn't be as hot, but we'll find out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if it was as hot, but I don't think we'll be quite that cruel this time. But you never know. Zach tends to be a bag of surprises, so maybe it will be, maybe it won't be. You anyone out there's gonna have to tune in to find out. So
yep,
absolutely, to that YouTube channel right in the back bumper, nicely framed in the middle of the shot. That was not planned, I promise. But yeah, overall, fantastic win. Back to this week. Execution has been the name of the game the last two races, and it's been pretty much flawless execution. You had a bit of a hiccup on that last pit road entry, but still got it done, and still was one of the faster times, even on that last cycle, pit lane time overall. So it's those little details that are adding up. Is there anything that you attribute to being able to consistently knock out all those little details that add up to these big wins?
I think it's just experience. I know a lot of these guys have been racing and iRacing more than I have, but I want to get the highest I rating I can. And after you get into those 4K, 5K splits or the top splits on like a Monday night, you have to start paying attention to the little like the eNASCAR stuff, as I like to call it, the game, things. There's exploits that I don't like using because I just like going out there and racing, but there's stuff like that. But there's also just, keeping an ear out for like expert opinions, watching YouTube videos. And when I was on the setup shop I was on, we had test nights, and you would learn a lot on those test nights. And, I went to every single one last year. And so at every single NASCAR track, I know a little something that might give me an extra tenth, but like pit road, it's the same thing in real life. You see why they get pit road speeding penalties weekly, because they're pushing it to the limit, trying to get on pit road, and just understanding the car you're driving, or in our case the truck, and knowing the limit. It's not just getting on pit road and getting in the pit box; it's also getting off pit road. And that first lap is very key into maintaining momentum. Get caught up in slower traffic, or you get loose somewhere, you're going to lose time. You want to maximize the time you have getting off pit road too. And a little trick I learned, I think I've mentioned this before, but getting into your pit box in real life, they hit the sign, right? You don't want to hit the sign in iRacing. You want to park
sign
it
dangling down in the front of the nose. You want to tap that sign, and that's where your positioning is.
Yeah, but in iRacing, it's not that way. There's one day, like 2 years ago, where I spent an hour just going on pit road and stopping, and I would write down the time, right? So like my pit stop time was, 13 seconds. All right, let me try it again. And then I'd park too far, and it was like 13.8. I was like, okay, so too far is, like when I'm hitting the sign, that's too slow. Right in the middle, all right, that's 13. Then a little far back, 12.8, And so I figured out that if you park just a little bit further back from the sign, you save 0.2 of a second on pit road, which can mean a whole lot, once you get back on the racetrack. Because once you're the first car to get off pit road, then you're the first car to get up to speed. And, all those little details just combine to faster, overall time.
Very true. So, it was a little bit trickier here at Texas, because there's a little trick it plays on you where the old concrete section of pit lane intersects with the new asphalt. They kind of looks like the concrete section is your box, but it really extends quite a bit further to the right. So you see a lot of drivers positioning a little too far to the left, just because the concrete section looks like the outline of your box. So there's kind of a tendency, even if maybe subconsciously, to come in a little bit too far to the left. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the pit crew's got to make those adjustments to get on the lugs, which all adds up to little bits of time.
Yeah. And they also, when they did the NASCAR 25 update to all the tracks, they moved the pit entry cone way up to where it is in real life. It used to be like on pit road, like you could send it on the pit road, but now it's like before the grass, and that caught a lot of people off guard because that moves your braking marker back, 100 yards,
Absolutely. Very, very
and
hard to hit that entry.
and there's also no yellow cone on the outside anymore. It's on the inside wall only, which again, I like it because it's more realistic. Because in real life, they have the pit entry light as their reference. They don't have a cone anymore. Back in the day, they did, but not anymore.
Yeah, definitely a
And
tricky
so,
approach, and like you almost experienced that transition can be rough. We saw a couple other people lock it down. I think Crank ended up being one of them. We saw him do a four-wheel skid down toward pit entry. I don't think that ended up being a penalty for him because it looks like he still finished pretty well. Yeah, finished top 5, so that wasn't a penalty. But I think he had a similar moment earlier on, locking all 4 of them down, coming in hot, trying to hit that early commitment. Well, not even commitment line, just speed line, because it's all combined for this. So, yeah, just combination of all those little things that you kind of had to know beforehand, practice beforehand. I think that's what caught a lot of people out, maybe not having the time or, whatever the circumstance happened to be to where they were able to get enough practice in to do that. Because really, as the last couple weeks have proved, being fast on pit lane is just as important or more important than how fast you are out on the racetrack.
yeah, I mean, I didn't get a lot of practice this week. I did 10 laps before the session opened up. And even then, I didn't get as much practice as everybody else just because I had to go drop something off for my mom before this, like after the session opened up. But, you know, it like I said, I think it really just boils down to experience, you know. Um, Experience when you race against really, really fast guys like the aliens, as people say. I've raced with those guys, the guys with 8, 9K I rating, and you learn a lot just from running behind them. And I've always had really good pace short run, but I mean, I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I used to be just as fast as the top split guys when I was just starting out for the first 10 laps. Then I would drop off a whole second, and they wouldn't drop off any. And so I had to teach myself how to save tire, how to just ride for the first 25 laps. And then when you're riding, that eventually just becomes your lap time. That's the way you run. And then the people who push really hard, you catch them. Um, but I don't know. I'm hoping that Kyle has a good run next week, so the points gap is still close. Maybe we'll get a new winner next week. We will see. I will do a little bit more practice this week just because it's a road course. So I need to know what the braking markers are for the truck. But once I figure that out, I'll be pretty confident. So
we shall see. And be looking out for that number 4. He had some pretty lofty claims in his interview. So, like I said, he's going to see what he can do against you next week. He's feeling pretty good about Mexico City, but I think you both are. But like we said, you have to tune in next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time to figure it out. But thanks for the time. Congrats on another solid win for the second green to green week in a row. It's been a bit bizarre here and kind of crazy getting done as early as we have the last couple of races in a row. Giving me my nights back. It's pretty nice actually. But
thank God.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats on another win. What is this, number 5? 5 for the season.
Yeah.
So, got 3 more chances, or 3 more chances in the regular season to send it to victory lane again and hang on to that top spot in points before the reset. We'll see what you can get done next week in Mexico City. So we'll see you then.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, it's your winner here out of Fort Worth, Texas, for Texas Motor Speedway, round number 7 for the Thursday Night Nitro Series. Bennett Allen gets it done in the Lone Star State for win number 5 on the season. And with that, we're going to go ahead and hang it up for the evening, hang our hat. And, of course, not before thanking our sponsors. Thanks to Devin Gentry with Sugar Maple Designs and also Red Brush HQ YouTube channel for being amazing sponsors for this series. we'll have to do a random drawing for the diecast for the past 2 weeks, as Bennett had committed to giving away the diecast for remaining wins in the regular season. So we'll have to get that taken care of. But that is another story. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. We appreciate your viewership each and every week. Glad to have you here with us here on the Boom Tube and supporting your favorite drivers, family and friends out there on the racetrack. Glad to see you in chat, cheering them on, and I'm sure they appreciate knowing that you're all out there cheering them on as well. So, as you mentioned before, next week we will be in Mexico City. And get you an extended schedule up on the screen in just a moment. Which doesn't appear like it's going to display correctly for us, so we might have to just put that off till next week, but we can go ahead and read it off for you regardless. So, as mentioned several times already, Mexico City will be the next race on the schedule, followed by Poconos. We're going to Long Pond, Pennsylvania for 80 laps of the Tricky Triangle on the 16th of April, followed by our regular season closer at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. Half-mile racetrack, 220 laps, very bumpy, very rough. That will be a very treacherous race for these guys. I'm very excited to see how they handle it. I think it will be a very fun race to watch. It's something different for everybody because Nashville Fairgrounds doesn't get nearly the love it deserves as a racetrack on a lot of schedules, so we decided to add it to ours as a season closer, or a regular season closer, to give maybe a bit of a wild card race to close out the regular season, maybe have a surprise winner there. We'll see, but you'll have to tune in on April 23rd to see both that track and the race that happens. So we look forward to seeing you then. And then on April 30th, the end of the month, is the start of the chase. We're starting off with Talladega in the final race of the Nitro Super Speedway Challenge. So the last chance at some cash for these drivers. And we'll go over the eligible drivers and the details of that as we get closer to the event. But that's the next couple weeks in a nutshell. We'll hopefully see you back next week for Mexico City, the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, for 50 laps south of the border down in Mexico. These drivers sound pretty excited about it. I know some are, some aren't, but it should be a bit of a different group of drivers up front. We got a few road course ringers in here who love taking it to the left and right, the twisty bits. So we'll look forward to seeing that action out on the racetrack. So hopefully see you south of the border as well next week here on the Boom Tube. Until then, once again, a reminder, next Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Be right back here on the Boom Tube each and every week. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe down below. Click that bell icon below the video as well if you'd like to be notified the next time we go live. And, of course, give that video a thumbs up and your like. It greatly helps our promotion within YouTube, gets us recommended to more people, and shows the YouTube algorithm that you appreciate the content and that you like it. So we'll be absolutely ecstatic if you do that for us, and thank you for those who do. But until next week, I've been Adam LeVox here for the Boom Tube, and we will see you next time.